Hey everyone, Damien here, the Big Fat Liar, Big Fat Liar 666. What have I lied about this time? Well, I keep saying that I'm not going to enter contests, but then I keep getting sucked in anyway and entering the contests here and there. And this time it's a contest for one of my pals online, StrictlyComiX, Edwin. He has a very fun contest going on with some great prizes, although prizes are not a big motivator for me. But when I knew I was going to enter his contest before I saw the prizes. But when I saw the prizes, I was like, ooh, bonus. If I were to happen to win, his way of having you win is a little different than most other contests. So it's a Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice contest. So he's giving away comics that relate to Batman and Superman, and he's asking two questions that relate to Batman versus Superman. And his first question is a really good one, for me anyway, or one that I always think about. It's why is Batman more popular than Superman, at least these days? Because I believe in the Silver Age, except for when the Batman TV show was big, and probably in the Bronze Age, Superman was a bit more popular than Batman. And nowadays, clearly, Batman is way more popular than Superman by several times more popular. If you were to compare the sales of the Batman book, the Batman book versus the Superman book, I think it would be 3 or 4 times more well, 3 times more, I think, that Batman sells. And I think, one, Batman has had some really good movies. And I don't think that's the main thing, although I do think those good movies by Nolan and even the Jack Nicholson as the Joker, those were better movies than your Superman movies. They increased interest in Batman. I know movies don't drive a huge amount of sales towards comic books in the short run, but I do think they help build up brand awareness, if you will. So when you enter the comic book store and you're looking for a comic book to pick up, who do you look for? Look for Batman. Batman had the really good cartoon in the 90s. Batman. And if you think back, like in the early 90s, the big bestseller was Superman, with the death of Superman and the long reign of the Superman and all of that. Batman was, I don't know what the sales were exactly, but it seemed like Batman was second to Superman then. But they did that fantastic Batman cartoon that everyone remembers. So I think Batman has had more successful media portrayals. But I think the biggest reason is Batman is a character that writers feel free to play with and do interesting things with. And writers can get a hook into his psychology of this obsessed vigilante much more easily than they can get a hook into Superman's personality. And maybe as comics have shifted towards grown-ups, Batman is much easier to do as a grown-up character. I almost sometimes wonder if they just would accept Superman as an all-ages character, whether they could build up an audience for him there better. I always see hope for Superman particularly from Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman. That seemed to point the way. But while when Frank Miller showed everyone how to do Batman with Batman Year One, and everyone picked up on that, somehow people haven't picked up well on what Grant Morrison showed us with All-Star Superman. I don't know quite what it is editorially or whatever, but they're not willing to take Superman and just deal with him on the mythical level. They keep wanting to try to make him more like, well, what I still think of as the Marvel superhero, with problems and relationships and all of that on a more human level. And it just doesn't seem to click, or hasn't clicked in a long while. So Batman just may be the best. Superman may be the first superhero, but Batman may be the best superhero. Just everything about him with Gotham with the kinds of villains he has, with his psychology, with his look. It just seems hard to beat. So then Edwin asks, what you have to predict what you think the box office for the opening weekend in the domestic U.S. market or the domestic North American market. I'm not sure how. I think they count it North American, so it may include Canada. Maybe it includes Mexico too. The domestic North American weekend gross for Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. What a modern question, where we all know what things make on their first weekend. But we follow these things. I used to follow them more. I just don't follow things so much lately. But I used to be fascinated by those kind of statistics. So whoever gets the closest and was the first to say the closest number, but not go over the gross amount for that weekend, wins Edmund's stack of really sweet comics. So I'm just going to guess 137 million for that first weekend and hope for the best. I will link to Edmund down below. I think he's got a great channel. You should check it out. Consider entering his contest. It's not very hard, except trying to figure out play a prediction game on movie grosses. But this advertising for Batman and Superman, Dawn of Justice on the covers of my comics almost makes me not want to go on the opening weekend, since that's why they're doing it, I guess, just to make... They know people reading DC Comics are going to see that movie, but to make them go on the first weekend maybe is why they are willing to ruin their covers. Right, because it says the date right there, March 25th. Are you guys going to go right away? I have just fallen off of going to movies right away. In fact, sometimes even ones I'm really interested in, I wait till they come on DVD these days, because I got a really nice TV. Okay, so talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.